is Patrick Mudongo. I work as a technical sales representative with KENCHIC Limited. My area of operation is within Kiambu as a municipality and the areas surrounding the municipality as well. So with us today from KENCHIC is one of our area managers, Dr. Apollo Gishane. Karibu sana. I'll give him this time for him to introduce himself and give us a few remarks. Apollo?
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Daniel, Patrick, and the rest of the clients joining us for this training this evening. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Apollo Gishane. I work for KENCHIC as one of the area managers in Nairobi. And we are really happy to host you in this training today. So let's be attentive and feel free to query anything that you don't understand because that's why we are here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana Daktari. I also want to appreciate your comments that come through the WhatsApp platform, as well as those who take time to DM us directly. We are here for you to improve your business. Karibuni sana. Daniel, you can take it away.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Dr. Apollo. I'd like to introduce one of my colleagues, Dr. Kwake. I've seen he's joined. So, Dr. Kwake, can you introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening to you, Doc.
Yes, I'm Dr. Kwake of North Rift region.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for finding time to join us. So then I think I'll be able just to go directly to our today's presentation. Patrick, if you can just confirm you're able to see my presentation.
Quite clear, Daniel.
All right. Okay, fine.
Clear.
So then, all right. So then our today session is on key poultry performance indicators and feeding. And so then our focus is on the chicken, the broilers, the layers, and the Kenbro, which is an improved kienyeji bird. As I've mentioned, where I work for, which is Unga Farm Care East Africa Limited, I usually want to start with this slide to show you what we stand for in terms of the company, some of the values that we strictly follow. It's self-responsibility, trust, respect, integrity, innovation, continued improvement, and teamwork. So these are some of the core values you'll be able to find in any employee of Unga Farm Care East Africa Limited. Just to introduce to you, for the people who don't know about the company, our core mission has been to maintain the market share leadership in terms of human nutrition and animal health products. And these are for the services and the benefit of the stakeholders within East Africa. Some of the products that we have in the market, commercial products, we have Fugo as a brand. So then in Fugo, these are mainly feeds. We have Afia Bora. These are mainly mineral supplements. Then we have a special category for farmers who are doing on-farm mixing. So they are able to use our Viminera range. We also do distribution products. We have partnership with key nutrition experts in the globe, in the world, and that is the Trout Nutrition. So then as well, we do have some products we are distributing for SIVA, which is well known for vaccine production and other animal health related products. We do as well do technical services, analytical and advisory. This is mainly inclined to our customers, as we know as a company that the kind of business, agribusiness that we are in requires a lot of technical expertise, and so then this we're able to give free of charge to our customers. Of course, for some key clients, we do have customized animal nutrition solutions. So then I think for the farmers who are in any of our WhatsApp platform, we had posted this question. As a poultry business farmer, what is the first thing you need to slaughter a chicken? And so then we have options there. So then we can just simply just try to go through these questions in the back of our minds. So then before you slaughter a chicken, as a poultry business farmer, what is the first thing you need? So you can as well feel free to engage us in the chat function. We do have the chat functions. Just type in your answers, or as well you can even type your questions there. I will be able to go through them at the end of the stage, at the end of this presentation. So then I think this question we'll be able to answer maybe after we are done with the presentation, so that you can see the different views we as farmers have. Now, I'd like just today to start off with just to understand a poultry, a chicken, what happens in terms of the digestive processes. So then a bird picks feed using its beak. It goes down the esophagus, and then the feed is temporarily stored in the crop. Yeah. So then when it is temporarily stored in the crop, then it goes through this section we call the proventriculus, where it is like our human stomach, where a lot of gastric juices are released, and then after which the feed passes through the gizzards, where it retains the big particle sizes, and the gizzard is much more of like a factory, so it's able to crush all these big particles. And then the feed goes now down to the small intestines. The small intestine is divided into three: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Then after which the feed passes through the ceca, these two fork-like structure, where further digestion process undergoes. And then after which now the feed passes through the large intestines, and then it comes out as waste. So then our business as farmers is to make sure that whatever comes in here benefits its birds, and we have less of the waste. So input and output. Yeah. So then we need to clearly understand, first of all, this bird. Now, today we have a different approach in terms of the business, the poultry business. So then one of the things is that the poultry rearing indeed is a profitable venture, and it is only profitable when it has been managed well as an agribusiness. So then today, henceforth, farmers take yourself as an agripreneur, agribusiness person, as opposed to just rearing poultry. Now, it is an agribusiness only when the performance variables, the things that will be able to make you be profitable or not, are checked out, and these are the quality of the inputs, the reliability of your system, and your efficiency in terms of the farm management. If you don't monitor this, then again, it's not going to be a profitable venture, and that's core reason why we are having this topic of the key indicators in the poultry businesses. Now, then go that in this business, it's because poultry products have a huge demand due to its freshness and the nutrients. So we know that poultry meat, poultry eggs, they are the main source of protein to the masses. And as our population grows, and especially in Kenya, Kenya is known to be one of the fast growing population in the world. It means that the consumption of this product will be on an upward scale. So it is given that poultry business, it's a good business. It is as well good business because in terms of Kenya as a country, it is part of our gross domestic product, the GDP. So figures estimated is that poultry production accounts for 5.5% overall of the Kenya GDP, which is very huge, and 30% of the entire agriculture in Kenya. And as all of you know that tourism and agriculture are the driving force of this country. So then just to give you the backup that poultry rearing, it is indeed a profitable venture. However, we do encounter day-to-day challenges to do with business. And as you know, any business faces challenges. So poultry agribusiness is not an exception. I'm going to just go through the four challenges that I narrowed down. One of it is market fluctuations. This is where most farmers usually blame, feed manufacturers, they blame everyone, but it is basically the nature of any business that there are going to be market fluctuations. Yeah. So one of the things that makes the market to fluctuate is, first of all, is the end product price. So then the price of the egg, the price of the broiler meat keeps on going up and down. Yeah. Number two, we find that because we are consumer-driven economy in terms of our poultry rearing products, so you find the consumption trends of our customers goes up and down. So with this, of course, it dictates the demand and the supply, and of course, this one dictates in terms of the prices of the end, of our meats and of our eggs. Core thing that as well influences the market fluctuations. This is mainly with the feed manufacturers, and this is the availability of grains and byproducts. As all of you know, that this country, we are not yet sufficient in terms of grains, we are not yet sufficient in terms of byproducts. So we have to import grains, we have to import the byproducts, and so then its availability, as well influences in terms of the prices. So then this is why you find like Unga Farm Care East Africa Limited as feed manufacturers, we have to adjust prices. It's because the availability of grains and byproducts, dictates on how the prices go. Some of the challenges as well, another challenge that we face as farmers is inefficiency in our farm operations. So basically farm management. So then this has everything to do with biosecurity aspects. It has everything to do with the technical know-how. It has everything to do with, mainly have I seen that poor records are so rampant in most of our farms. Challenge number 3 is it's poor farm infrastructure. So you find maybe when we started our poultry enterprises, maybe we didn't get the right information or we had limited resources. So you find that our housing, some of the equipment that we use, some of the procedures we do in terms of heating, lighting, and ventilation are wanting. And so then, of course, this brings a challenge to the entire poultry enterprise. Of course, as farmers, we should know that most of us are in the business. So we are definitely going to get stiff competition. So then we have big players, we have small and medium scale farmers. And so then what here brings up in terms of the challenges, it is how strategic we are in terms of value addition. It is how strategic we are in terms of how we are compliant with the relevant laws of the land. And it is how compliant we are in terms of marketing and the distribution of our end products. So these are the core challenges that we face as poultry agribusiness farmers. So just to pose another question, which is better? Is it productivity or is it efficiency? Yeah. So then if you are able just to put across your answers in the chat function, and then maybe you can just review this in a short. So then to you as a farmer, which is the best? Is it productivity or is it efficiency? So let us understand what's the difference between the two. So productivity it's simply output per unit time. So then if you are having a broiler bird, you are sure after day 35, it's going to be ready to be sold. So then from a chick to a mature bird, that's productivity. However, efficiency, on the other hand, is a best possible output per that duration of time. So here we are talking about if it is the same broiler, in 35 days, what kilos, how many kilos will it have gained during that period of time? So then that's efficiency. And so, excuse me, so then most farmers, I think we need to change our perspective in terms of this poultry agribusiness. We focus much more on efficiency as opposed to productivity, because the difference between the two is where we lose it out, and this is where we don't make good margins in terms of our businesses. So then just a distinction between the two is that productivity is mainly concerned with quantity, efficiency is on quality. And as all of you know, that you fetch a better price when you so much focus on quality, not quantity. Again, productivity is performance. Yeah. So then after day 35, the bird is mature. Efficiency is how well did you achieve the right weights. Yeah. And so then that's even why I'd want us to really so much focus on efficiency. Now, productivity doesn't take underlying costs into account. Efficiency does. So any cost related to bringing up this broiler bird or layer bird has to be accounted for for you to be able to monitor in terms of efficiency. Excuse me, sorry. So then as the topic that we're going to do in terms of the key indicators, but there are general performance measurements in our poultry agribusiness venture that we need to have. I call these departments. So then for instance, in this corporate world, we do have different departments. So in your farm setup, these are the key departments that you need, so that if your farm does not have this key department, and it does not mean that you're having rooms to have this department, but what I try to mean is that if you're having areas of focus in terms of your farm, in terms of finances, in terms of your operations, in terms of customer satisfaction and innovation, it will be very key for you to be able to get returns from your poultry agribusiness venture. So then when you start with finance, finance has a different areas of angle. One of it is that you need cash flow. Yeah. So then if you don't have cash flow, it will strain on how best you perform in terms of your venture. So then to just give you an example, if there is no money to buy a vaccine, it means you'll be able to delay the date to do vaccination. And then it means then again, you're going to expose the birds to diseases during that period of time that we have not vaccinated the birds. Yeah. So then cash flow, it's very important in terms of monitoring. Cost control, making sure that you're able to save costs or to make sure that you have the minimal wastages in terms of the farm. So then even in terms of the feeds, making sure there are no spillages, making sure that your workers are honest, they don't steal from your farm. Yeah, in terms of sales, after your produce is ready, how do you sales? How do you account for the revenues? And then do you do the math to get whether you are profitable or not? So then this is one of the core things that you need to do as a farm, and you need to have records for finance. Number two is operations, the day-to-day running of your enterprise. So then we have the cycle time. So then if you are in the business of poultry meat, commercial broilers, you have a cycle time of 35 days when the bird is going to be ready. If you are on a layer bird, you have a cycle time of 18 weeks when birds are going to start to lay eggs. That is the point of lay. So then you need to understand your cycle time depending with which bird you're keeping. If it is a Kent bro, depending with how many kilos you want, you can have a cycle time of 60 days. You can have a cycle time of 80 days. You can have a cycle time of 130 days, depending with the kilos of meat that you want that bird to have. So then again, there's a resource utilization. So then in terms of the farm, are you having enough drinkers, enough feeders, to be able to feed these birds? Are you having enough, labor, manpower to be able to do all the necessary work that is required at the farm? Do you have the required skills and learning? And I think that's why you joined this session today, which is very important. So every day you're able to update your skills and knowledge in terms of the poultry agri business. And then this is where most farmers fail, and this is decisions implementation. So you find you have learned a lot of information, but there's a gap in terms of implementing at the farm. Yeah. So then you find you get a lot of information, but you're not actually able to put it in the farm. So then this might strain your, in terms of your outlook, or outcome of your farm. And then lastly, we have the delivery lead times. So then it means in terms of your operations, when you have said that you're going to implement this decision, are people able to follow what you've said at the right time? Yeah, because any delay in terms of decision making can make or lose in terms of profitability. So then this lead time is very important in terms of day-to-day operations in your farm as a poultry agribusiness. The third aspect of measurements or departments, if I may call it that, is a customer satisfaction. Remember that all your produce will end up to the customer. Yeah. So then, and the customer for this matter, we are talking about internal and external. So here we are talking about the employees at your farm. And then number two as well, we are talking about the customer who is going to come and buy your produce. Yeah. So one of the core thing I have found in some of the farms is that there is no employee-employer teamwork at the farm. And this is a business. So you find there's going to be constraint ever between the employer and the employee. Yeah. Number two, in terms of the market share, you need to identify where you're going to sell your produce. Yeah. So which niche market do you want to focus? In terms of the service levels, when you've started to sell your produce, what is your brand? How are people get to know you, in terms of how do they call you? Do they call you a dirty poultry farmer? Do they say that your sheds are dirty? Do they say that you are a good mama who is able to sell, clean broiler meat or eggs? Yeah. So then in terms of feedback, are you able to get to hear what your customers are saying? This includes both your employees and the customers who are buying your goods. Are you able to just hear what they're saying about your produce? And then in terms of customer satisfaction, are you competitive enough in terms of the sum of the produce that you are taking to the market? The last department, and this is very key, and this is what we call innovation. Yeah. So that in your poultry agribusiness, do you have time to automate things working around the farm? Yeah. For instance, in terms of water intake in the birds, have you even considered to put water meter, so that you'll be able to read, to get the water readings for your poultry, water consumption? Are you thinking about value addition, or only you're just thinking about selling eggs, just thinking about selling fresh meat, Do you find time just to research, to hear what the consumer is saying in terms of the feedback that they give you? Do you have in marketing strategies, and all this definitely leads to efficiency. So just to summarize is that the fourth department, which is innovation, it is a very key driving force in making sure that your farm is efficient and that you continually improve your performance. So just evaluate back, go back to your farm, check out whether you are having these, let me call them departments again, in terms of finance, in terms of operations, in terms of customer satisfaction, in terms of innovation, because at the end of the day, you are in an agribusiness setup. So then to now go to our point this night in terms of our session, and these are the key poultry performance indicators that we are having in terms of monitoring our agribusiness setup is listed as you can see on your screen. I chose to concentrate on the 8 because I thought these are the main ones that will be able to have a very immediate impact in our farms. And as well, I chose on this because I felt through experience, visiting farmers, is that these are some of the gaps that we're having in our farms. And I believe that when we'll be able to implement this, will be able to monitor our poultry agribusiness well. So we have live weights, day 0, 7, and rearing. We have flock uniformity, which is very important. We have water and feed intakes, availability. We have a feed conversion ratio, performance index factor, egg production for the farmers who are keeping birds for eggs, and then we have the environment. So I'm going to start with the live weights. One of the sad things I've found when visiting farmers is that I just go to farms, and when I visit and ask, what is the weight of your birds? No one knows. Yeah. So then this is, let me call it bread and butter for your business. So then why you are in the poultry agribusiness is to get weights at the right time. Yeah. And so then I emphasize, and I'll continue to insist that as farmers, let's just put a lot of effort in terms of weighing our birds correctly and be able to have these records. So one of the simple things we do is, first of all, is to get a sample size in your farm. So if you are having, let's say, 100 birds, you can choose maybe to have a sample size of maybe 20 birds as your sample size to weigh them, yeah, randomly. So then you don't select with your eyes, you don't run with cuckoos inside the farm, but you do as random selection. How you do it is you restrict the birds with a temporal device like a plywood, just to have the sample size, and then you individually weigh those birds. So then how to go about it in terms of having a record for the weights? It is very important you start with the day 0 weight. So then when the chicks come in the boxes, usually they are put 100 or sometimes 102, 105. Please make sure you have a sample weight of these birds when they come. And that is going to be your starting weight. The second weight, which is very important, is weight at day 7. Yeah. So then the weight at day 7 usually gives you an indication, first of all, on how your brooding has been for the first 7 days. And then number 2 as well, it gives you an indication of what was the chick quality that you received from the hatchery, from the different hatchery that you received. So day 7 weight is very important, and it usually gives you an indication of how best that flock is going to perform. Yeah. So then if at day 7 you find that you have not really achieved your weights, then it is an area of immediate focus. Yeah. So this is very important. So after day 7, of course, we recommend that you do a weekly weights across. This for broilers, this for layers and Kenpro, and these are weights which we call the rearing weights. But key important to note is that for the birds, especially the broilers, having the expected day of slaughter, we recommend that for the last 5 days that you weigh them every day so that you're able to monitor in terms of the growth of their weights. Yeah, so then this is very important, and these are usually the standard way of getting the weights. Depending with the breeds, the chicks that you've gotten from the hatchery, we have different genetics. You have the Cobb 500, we have the Abo Acres broilers, we have the Rose broilers. We have the different growth rates for these birds, and this one are able to be shared to you through any of our technical teams. So then, for instance, this chart gives you a very clear indication on how that bird needs to grow. So if you receive it at day 0, it is expected roughly that bird is going to be 42 grams. So though you might find some birds are 40 grams, some others might be even 43, 44, 45 grams, but this is just an indication of what is the weight of that bird when it comes. And I told you it is very important to weigh at day 0. Day 7, you monitor based on that weight. So then if it's a Cobb, you can use a Cobb standard. If it's an Abo Acres, you can use Abo Acres standard. If it's a Rose, you can just use Rose standards. This information you can ask from the supplier of your chick, which chick they're supplying you with. So these genetics are easily just being told by your supplier. So then KENCHIC will be able to tell you which chick they are supplying you with. So you're able to monitor. Yeah. So this is a timetable, and farmers, if you don't have this timetable, you are doing a very wrong disservice, and especially if you are doing broiler farming. Yeah. So then this is very important for you to put it in your records, so that you're able to monitor even on a daily basis. Yeah. So then just to get to know that your birds are growing correctly. Number two, for the farmers who are raising pullets or layers, again, during the rearing phase is very important, because this is a period of time that these birds are not giving you eggs, but you want them to grow. And we have the standards, again, depending with the supplier of your chicks, whether it's an Isa brown, whether it's an Highland brown, whether it's a Lowman classic brown, we have the standards that will be able to tell you on a weekly basis, this bird is supposed to grow this way. So again, if you are a layer farmer and you don't have this chart during rearing, you're going to do a very wrong disservice to the birds, but co-important to your pockets, because when this bird does not grow well, then again, you're not going to be able to not to get the eggs at the right time. And then you'll be able to start to say that the feed is wrong, but it's not the feed it's wrong, but it's just because you're not able to correctly monitor the birds. So again, as I said, this will be able to share with you, and you can reach out to any technical representative, either from KENCHIC, either from Unga. They'll be able to share this with you. So then another key indicator that you need to tackle today is what we call flock uniformity. So to define flock uniformity is that these are variability of bird size in a poultry house. So just to give a very typical example, when we are born in families, we have short brothers, we have tall sisters, we have plump brothers, we have slender, like me, brothers. So then that is the same variability we are having with chicken. So then when you buy chicken, they are not going to be all of the same size. But our core mandate in terms of our poultry agribusiness is to make sure at least they grow near to the same uniformity. Now, for you to be able to know in terms of uniformity, you are not able to do with your own eyes. Yeah, so there are measures that you are going to go through just for us to understand how to measure the flock uniformity. But there are some things in our enterprise that can affect this flock uniformity. One of it is diseases. So especially I know farmers who have experienced coccidiosis before. They'll tell you that the birds are not growing. That is the first thing that they tell you. And you can actually see they're small birds, they're big birds. In terms of feeding and nutrition, if you use the wrong feed, if you don't feed correctly, if you are for the farmers who are mixing for themselves and they don't mix the feed rightly, you're going to have imbalances, and definitely you're going to get deficiencies. And of course, this is going to affect in terms of the flock uniformity. Poor spacing, stocking density has a negative impact to do with the flock uniformity, and as well, if you don't have the correct trinkers, nipple feeders, laying nest in the house, as well has an influence in terms of flock uniformity. So these are some of the things when we visit and we tell you, please, farmer X, correct this, increase the number of feeders, make sure your stocking density is okay. It's because it has an influence to do with the flock uniformity. In terms of understanding uniformity, we have two aspects, the uniformity percent and CV percent. So then if you have a uniformity of above 80% or a CV percent of 8, we say that has a very good uniformity. When you're having a uniformity of 70%, we say that's an average. When it's below 60, we say that's a poor uniformity. So as I had mentioned to you, when you look with your eyes, it is very unreliable. You cannot say that this flock, for instance, the pictures that you're seeing on your right, you cannot say whether the uniformity is good or not, because your eyes can actually deceive you. But if you use mathematical tools to check on flock uniformity, it's going to give you a good indication whether your birds have a good uniformity or a poor uniformity. So then I'm going to do just a very simple exercise here, just to calculate uniformity percent and CV percent. This is an example. So I know it might be not the right time maybe to go into details on this, but of course, just reach out to any one of our technical people. We'll be able to take you through this mathematics on how to calculate uniformity and the CV percent. So on your extreme left, what you're seeing is the sample weights, individual weights collected in a farm. This was a layer farm. Yeah, so then individual weights. So then we weighed individually the weights, which was 64 birds, yeah, in number. So the number of the birds was 64. We calculated the average, which came to 621 grams. So we added all these weights and then we divided by 64 to give us 621. So then then we took this mean and then we added plus 10% to give us 684. Then we took this mean and we deducted 10% to give us 559. And then between 500 and 684, within this sample size, only 2 birds were outside the range. So then it means, excuse me. So only 2 birds were below, for instance, 559, and only 2 birds were above 684. So the number of the birds outside were 2. And then to calculate the standard deviation, this is a mathematical tool. We used Excel. So this is the formula to use. And we got, based on this sample, we got a standard deviation of 23.5. Having gotten this, now we are able now to calculate the uniformity weight percent, and as well able to calculate the CV percent. So for instance, the uniformity weight will be the sample size, which was 64, which is here, minus the outside mean range, which was 2, right? Then you divide by the sample size, which was 64, you multiply by 100, you get 97%. So then the uniformity of this flock was 97%. The CV percent calculation is standard deviation, which is this. You will divide by the mean, which was 621, and then we multiply by 100, it gives us 3.7. So please note that we said that in terms of translation, if the uniformity is above 80%, very good uniformity. If it is below 60, poor uniformity. CV, the less, the better. So as an example here, we are saying that this flock had a very good uniformity, and it had a very good CV. So because the CV was small, the uniformity was high. So then that's how you calculate it, and it gives you an indication to say, my birds are uniform or they are not uniform. One of the core indicators, and we fail in most of our farms, is water intake. Yeah. So then, yes, we supply feed, and I'm going to take you through on how to feed these birds. But where we miss out, it is in terms of water intake. Remember, I had mentioned in terms of one of the innovation you can do in your farm is to monitor your water consumption in the birds. And you can simply install a water meter in your house so that you're able to get the readings and understand how these birds are feeding. Reason it's because there is a direct correlation in terms of feed intake and water consumption. So if a bird feeds on 1 kilo of feed, it's going to roughly consume 2 liters of water. That's given. So then if it does not drink enough water, it is guaranteed it's not going to feed correctly. So then when you're having a water meter in your farm, or when you're monitoring your water consumption, it is very easy to know when there's a problem or not. I'll not be able to go through the details in terms of water quality, but I'm going to just emphasize on some of the things you're able to do in terms of improving the quality of your water. Most of you know that you have a product called Cellcore pH. This is a water acidifier. How it does, it reduces the multiplication of bacteria in the water, and as well, it supports digestion because the acidic environment in the water and then in the digestive system usually helps the protein to be well digested. And of course, the benefit you get from the use of this product is that it's able to nicely balance the microbial balance inside the digestive system of the bird. Of course, in giving you very good results in terms of reduced mortality rates, better digestion, better FCR, and all this. Now, I'm going to to take you through on how, for instance, how we feed our birds. Most of you farmers are on our range. So I'm going to start with our broiler farmers who are feeding on our range. So we have two options. Yeah, we have farmers who prefer to do a two-phase broiler diet. We have a farmer who prefers to do a three-phase broiler diet. A two-phase diet has a starter and a finisher. A three-phase broiler diet has a starter, has a grower, and a finisher. Now, a three-phase diet definitely we recommend because it definitely gives you better growth rates and of course better returns. A two-phase as well will perform well, but in comparison between the two, a three-phase diet is expected to perform far much better. Start with a two-phase diet. For a farmer who has chosen to do a two-phase diet, you start with the first grow starter crumbs or mash. It has two options, a crumbs or a mash. Of course, for the broilers, we prefer the crumbs. This is given for the first 21 days. And the bird is roughly going to consume roughly 850 grams during that period of time. Then again, you finish with the first grow finisher pellets or mash. Again, we preference to broiler farmers is on a pellet, fed from day 22 up until when you're going to slaughter. If you're going to slaughter day 35, expectation is that that bird is going to have consumed 2.85 kg. So that's simply a two-phase feeding program for broilers. A three-phase feeding program, you start with the first grow advanced. So then this range has the word advanced. The first one is given for the first 10 days, and a bird feeds 300 grams roughly in the first 10 days. Then you go to the grower pellet, first grow advanced grower pellets, fed from day 11 to day 24. It's expected during this period of time that bird is going to feed 1.27 kilos. Then from day 25 until when you're going to slaughter the bird, you're going to feed it on first grow advanced finisher pellets. So then if assumption is that you're going to slaughter day 5, a bird is going to consume 1.79 kilos of this feed during that period of time. So then that's about feeding broilers. How about feeding layers for the farmers who are feeding layers? So for the farmers who are feeding layers, the feed to start with as chicks is what we call Fugo chick and duckling mash, given for the first 8 weeks. It's expected that that chick is going to consume 2 kilos during that period of time. Then after which you transition to a grower mash, Fugo grower mash. This is given from week 9 up until point of lay. So then if your birds start to lay at 18 weeks, that's when you're going to feed the grower mash. So this one is based on the point of lay. So then again, this reminds us on that point we said that if you don't rear your pullets well, they'll have a longer point of lay. So then that will be wasted to you, and in terms of production, you're going to go down. But we assure you, when you're using Fugo growers mash and you're monitoring your weights correctly, you'll be able to get the point of lay at 18 weeks. So then when these birds start production, usually we say 5% of our egg production, you transition out to the Fugo layer complete meal. This is given to the birds during its entire laying period up until when you're going to dispose them as egg layers or spent layers. And it's usually given between 120 grams to 140 grams per bird. So of course, birds under cage system are going to feed less. The birds under deep litter, they'll be able to feed more because of the energy requirements, because they move a lot. This feed guarantees your yellow colored yolks, strong shelled eggs, and it usually gives you an early sustained peak production, which is a very good news to a layer farmer. One of the core things that stand out between Unga and KENCHIC is that we have invested heavily to do with research, so that each and every information you see coming from KENCHIC or from Unga Farm Care East Africa, it is well researched locally. So then we do have a trial house at KENCHIC where we usually do lots of trials in terms of the feed and all these components to do with poultry agribusiness. So what we say is what we have we have seen work, and so that's why we have the right information to be for you to be able to just put it practical in your farms, so that you're able to get good returns. I remember I had mentioned one of the key indicators is livability, feed conversion ratio, and performance index factor. So livability is basically let me call it the survival rates of your bird. So then basically it is you deduct 100 from the number of the mortality rate percent that you're having in the farm. So for instance, if your mortality is 2%, yeah, it means your livability is 100 minus 2, which gives you 98% livability. Yeah, so then simply that's livability, and it's a very good indicator. Number 2 indicator, it is the FCR. FCR, feed conversion ratio. It's calculated simply by dividing the feed consumed by the weight of the bird, that is a live weight. So then simply that's how you get the FCR. So it means if the bird has consumed 2 kilos of feed and then it has gained 1 kilo of weight, it means its FCR is 2 because it's 2 divided by 1. Yeah. So that's simply FCR. And it is a very good indicator to just get to know that you don't have spillages in your farm and that your costs are within the acceptable range. The third aspect of calculating or checking or monitoring your indicators in the farm is the PIF, what we call the performance index factor. These are a bit complicated in terms of calculation, and this is how you calculate it. So then you get the live weight of the bird, and then you multiply by the livability. Remember, I have indicated here what is livability, yeah, in terms of its percent, and then you multiply by 100. All this you divide by the FCR, as I've indicated up here, and then you multiply with the number of days that you slaughtered the animal. This is mainly used for farmers who are keeping poultry for meat, whether it's Kenbro or whether the commercial broilers. So then that PIF, that value you get there, it's an indication to get to know whether your flock is performing good or not. So then in summary, the lower the FCR here, the better. So if in your calculation you get a FCR of 2 and somebody else get an FCR of 1.8, the lower of 1.8, it means that bird was a good converter of feed. Yeah, but the PIF is the opposite, it's vice versa. So then the higher you get the PIF, the better. So for instance, the table you're seeing on your right, it's a trial that was done by KENCHIC in conjunction with Unga. So then we were comparing between the Kenbro, which is an improved bird, with the other competitor birds, improved Kenyan birds in the market. As in, you clearly see some of the indicators as I mentioned in terms of overall mortality, 2%. So to get the livability is 100 minus 2, gives you 98% livability. Number of birds slaughtered, it's there. Average weight per bird slaughtered, this is 2.16 kilos. Here is the performance indicated factor, as I indicated, 71. So then it's calculated here. These are the formula used to calculate. And then this is the FCR, as I indicated here. This is what is indicated here. And then down here are the costs, yeah? So then this usually just gives you an indication on how best the birds perform. So then just as an example, the Kenbro bird had an FCR of 2.3, which is lower than the rest, so indicating it performed very well. Again, the Kenbro bird had a PIF of 171, which is higher than the rest, indicating to you that that breed performed extremely well. So these are the things that we need to adopt in our farm. Make sure that you're able to get these mathematics correct. Call any one of us to be able to visit you and we'll be able to take you through this. Now, today is a very important day for us as farmers. As Unga Farm Care East Africa Limited, we continually, as I've indicated, we continually try to improve ourselves in terms of how best we serve our customers. One of the areas that we thought that needs a bit of improvement is on our Fugo Kienyeji range. Yeah. So then most of you have known this range in the market. That is a Fugo Kienyeji chick mash, Fugo Kienyeji cross mash, and Fugo Kienyeji layers mash. Yeah. And so then now we've been saying that the Fugo Kienyeji chick mash, give it for the 6 weeks. And then from week 7 going up until, if it's for meat, up to slaughter, give it growers mash. If it's for laying, you continue the growers mash, and then during egg production, you give layers mash. We have now we are introducing a new range that is going to be in the market anytime now. So then when you see these new packs, don't worry, it is our new revamped Kienyeji range. So then they're going to look like this. Yeah. So then we have the Fugo Kienyeji chick mash as you know it. We have the Fugo Kienyeji growers mash as you know it. We have the Fugo Kienyeji layers mash as you know it. But now we have introduced two. That is the Fugo Kienyeji finisher mash and the Fugo Kienyeji econ mash. Now, how do we feed these birds? So then for the commercial farmers, and these are information that we have trialed, we have researched, I told you we have a trial house, we have done this. We are saying that you are able to harvest the Kenbro bird in 60 days. As you can see, even from this trial was done for 54 days, and the weight of the birds was 2.16 kilos. Yeah. So then this information you're sharing here, it is something that we have trialed, and we are so sure about how it's going to perform. So then we are proposing a new feeding regime for the Kenbro or improved Kienyeji bird. So then for the Fugo Kienyeji chick mash, please feed it in the first 2 weeks. Then you transition, that is if you are keeping this bird for meat. Yeah, if you are keeping it for meat. So after 2 weeks, you introduce Fugo Kienyeji growers mash, that is week 3 and 4. And then from week 5 up until when you're going to slaughter. So for my intention and purpose, I've said day 60, because this is when we trialed. You now give the Fugo Kienyeji finisher mash. Now, what some of the guarantee we give you is this, that Kenbro bird is going to have, first of all, the right weights, and then number 2, it's going to get the natural pigmentation, yellow pigmentation that would want in the shanks, in the skin of that bird. So then it's very important for the farmers, customers who would want their birds to have that pigmentation, the yellow pigmentation. We have now brought a product in the market that is able to give you that. Yeah. So then this is our proposed new range for the meat production bird, and this is for commercial intensive system of production. For the farmers who are intending to do Kienyeji egg production, we have their range. So then you start with the chick mash for the first 2 weeks, and then you transition to the Fugo Kienyeji growers mash from week 3 up until these birds are going to start to lay the eggs. Usually for the Kienyeji birds, you say 10% of the eggs, and then from then you transition now to the Fugo Kienyeji layers mash. So then this product you're going to see in the market, and in the few weeks, months to come, we'll be able to get more information on this. If something is not really clear, kindly just reach out to any one of us, our technical team. I will be able to take you through this new range. Now, remember, there's another product we said that we brought in the market, that is the Fugo Kienyeji econ mash. This is for farmers who especially are not commercial oriented. So then, and especially when you go back to our rural homes, we have farmers who have in 1 or 2 Kienyeji chicken, not really for sales, but it's maybe for your subsistence or, for your eggs at home. So we have introduced a one-phase diet that will be able to meet the needs of a Kienyeji bird all across the stages. Yeah. So then this is a product to look out for, and especially back there if you're not keeping Kienyeji birds for commercial, for business, commercial aspects. So then for some of the farmers, I know I've taken you through, for the farmers who are mixing for themselves, so then they prefer not to have a commercially prepared feed, but they want to mix, we as well have that range. That's the Viminera range. So we have the concentrates, we have the macro packs, and you have the premixes. So then just to take you through, the concentrate, which is a preferred option to most farmers, has all these components. Yeah, so it has protein, macrominerals, amino acid additives, and vitamin trace minerals. The only thing that you're going to add is energy. So, sorry. Allow me to cast my screen again. Patrick, can you confirm that my screen is on?
Yeah, screen is on, Daniel.
All right.
Please go ahead.
All right, okay. Fine. So then I'm saying that for the concentrate, which is preferred, it has all these components with the exception of the energy, which we're able to give you in terms of how to mix. Macro packs, it does not have energy and protein, but has the rest. Then the premix is only the premix. So this as well is another option that you can consider to use if you are mixing for yourself. So then the packs, the Viminera range comes in these packs. So we have for the poultry starter concentrate, we have for the broiler grower finisher concentrate, for the layer concentrate, and as well for the poultry breeder concentrate. So then just to give an example, for the KENCHIC bat, if you want to mix for yourself, you buy the broiler finisher, include at 27.5%. You buy maize, grounded maize, wheat bran, 42%, and a bit of limestone. That mix is going to give you a KENCHIC chick mash, fed for 2 weeks. If you want to prepare KENCHIC grower mash, you're going to use maize, 30%, wheat bran at 23.5%, pollard at 25%, limestone at 1.5%, and then the mineral finisher at 20%. For the KENCHIC finisher mash, if you want to mix for yourself, you buy this concentrate, broiler finish at 20%, then you mix with ground maize at 22.5%, maize bran at 56%, and limestone at 1.5%. So then the option for mixing is available. So kindly just reach out to any one of us. We'll be able to share with you these formulations if you do want to mix for yourself. Other than that, this marks the end of this presentation. So then, Patrick, I think I'll just hand over to you just to lead us in the question and answer session.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for the very nice session that you've taken us through. It was quite elaborate. Asante sana. Very nice presentation. Now, for the question and answer session. Well. Just a minute.
Yeah, I can see a question from Akongo.
How are chicks managed in? Oh, yep. Okay. Now they've loaded. Yep. I can be able now to take you through the questions. Now, Akongo asks, how are chicks managed in terms of feeds, vaccines from 1 year old?
So then, yeah, we lost you a bit, Patrick.
Okay, now I'm ready. How are chicks managed in terms of feeds, vaccines from 1 day old, recommended feeds for broilers, or improved KENCHIC from day 1 to maturity?
Well, I think okay, these are clearly Akongo. I think the best thing is to just have one of our technical team members to visit your farm and take you through, how to raise these birds as chicks, because there's a standard way of doing it. So then what I'll just request you maybe just put in the chat in terms of your contact, and then we'll be able to get somebody reach out to you, visit your farm, and then we'll be able to take you through in terms of how to feed and all the details about feeding. So I think the best part is maybe just link along with any of our team's members to visit them.
Yes. We'll be sharing our contacts account, so you can get in contact with us so that we can be able to take you through management of the chicks. But just as KENCHIC does pre-vaccination of birds, so we have a vaccination schedule that we can share to you, although it is dependent in the region. So as Daniel has said, let's get into contact and visit your farm. Kevin, asante sana, great presentation, quite informative. I agree. We'll be sharing the recording later. What is the value of vigocin? What is the value of feeding birds with vigocin? I think, Daniel, you can take us through this question. Vigocin is sold by Unga.
Yeah, vigocin is a water additive. It's a dietary supplement, and what it does is just it helps bird to. It has different functions. So one of the function is it relieves birds of stress. So then, where you are having stress related to poultry, whether it is their day-old chicks, whether they are under medication or after vaccination, whether you're having heat stress. So vigocin comes to help and relieve that. It's also an appetizer, so it promotes better feed intakes in birds. Sad to say that currently we ran out of stocks. We are still waiting for the shipment. As you know, the COVID-19 has brought issues to do with when you're importing products. So we are hoping that it's going to be back in the country very soon. So once it's there, you'll be able to get your supplies. To you, Patrick.
Thank you, Daniel. Philip Kenyanjui, 3 weeks to lay eggs or 3 months for the improved kienyeji? Philip, I'm not quite sure I get your question. You can kindly get into the chat function. Please type your question again before we go through all the questions so that at least we can attempt to answer your question. Innovative farms. Wow. We have well water and rainwater at our shamba. Should we treat this water for the chicks?
First of all, what you need to do is to take that water sample to the lab and confirm its microbiological status. That's the first thing. Whether it is water or rainwater, it might, in terms of water quality, you need just to take it to the lab and check. So one of the recommendations will tell you, treat it. Sanitize that water so that your birds are able to grow well.
To add on this, innovative farms, KENCHIC has a well-equipped lab at our head office location. You can just have your sample, deliver it there, and you'll get your results within 2 days so that you can be able to know the best water sanitizer to use. What are some of the value addition practices for egg farmers?
Gishu, one of it, if you walk in supermarkets, the market as eggs raised in deep litter system, cage-free system. When you enter into supermarkets, you find eggs marketed as very clean eggs. Yeah. So then these are some of the value addition you can do. You can as well explore in terms of whether you'd want to go into the table eggs market or you'd want to use your eggs for bakers. Yeah. So then all these value addition practices are available for you. Outside the country, I've seen people able to sell liquid eggs, but now with that needs very high levels of hygiene. So then there are all these opportunities for value addition for eggs.
Thank you, Daniel. Geshane, do you have some insight on the same question?
Thank you, Patrick. I would like to focus on the Kenyaji eggs, Kenbro eggs, for this matter, or the egg bro. These are eggs that will get a premium price in the market due to the fact that they are organic. The birds have free ranged, so that is also an opportunity in terms of egg marketing. Thank you.
Kabisa. Asante Daktari. Peter, your question is, can I have feeds delivered to my farm, then pay weekly or monthly based on the terms available? Daniel?
Our model of distribution is that we have appointed distributors all across the country. So then it's just to link you up with the closest distributor near where you stay, and then you can have that conversation with the distributor. So Peter, again, just share your contacts, and one of us will be able to reach to you.
Innovative Farms, I've seen your contact. We'll contact you after this training. Peter, where can I get the recording kindly? The recording will be shared tomorrow through our WhatsApp chat function. Please stay tuned to get the same. Next question from Joshua. Can you share the price catalog for your feeds?
Again, I'll just direct you to any of our distributors or agrovets scattered across the country. The prices in Nairobi might differ with the prices in Kisumu based, of course, with the distance. So the best is just to link you up with the closest distributor or agrovet near you.
Yes, Joshua, kindly get into contact with Daniel so that he can be able to direct you to the nearest distributor or the nearest technical person within your region. What is the price of chick mash? I also think Benjamin will also do the same. Prices of the new feeds kindly from Peter. Please contact Daniel so that he can be able to link you to the nearest distributor or a Unga technical representative for advice. Do you have similar sessions for pig farmers? Unfortunately, no. From KENCHIC, but Unga, maybe Daniel, you can answer this question.
Yeah, we have we do have webinars for pig farmers. So then I think the best, Charles, what you can just do is to first of all link up with one of us. But for currently, the session for pig farmers is not as frequent for poultry. But as well as, we do have technical people able to come visit your farm and actually have a farm kind of an approach in terms of managing some of the issues that you're having at the farm.
Thank you, Daniel. Benjamin Kiama, is there any value in feeding starter mash to chicks? Thank you for this question. Actually, as I was doing my farm visits today, I encountered a farmer who asked this question. Daniel?
So first of all, let me understand, which chicks are you talking about? Is it broiler layers? Is it Kenbro?
I believe should be maybe broilers because he's talking about starter mash.
Okay.
Although
So
probably broilers.
So then, first of all, as I've taken you through, we have feeds specifically meant for broilers, feeds specifically meant for layers, feeds specifically meant for Kenbro or the kienyeji birds. Now, if it is a broiler bird, you have two options that are indicated. You have either to choose two-phase or a three-phase feeding program. If you use a two-phase feeding program, again, you have two options, whether to start with a starter crumbs or to start with a starter mash. So then for broilers, that's a yes. For layers, for chicks layers, you only have one option, that is a chicken duckling mash. For kienyeji birds or the Kenbro birds, you only have one option, and that is a Fugo kienyeji chick mash.
Thank you, Daniel. Fue, thank you. Good presentation. Asante. Kindly share the slides. Please share your email so that you can be able to share the same. Can we sanitize water with the water guard? Yes, water guard is used for water treatment. But I think also sampling will be important. I'll share my contact so that you can be able to assist you out. And your price list, please. Fue, please engage Daniel so that he can be able to direct you to your nearest stockist or distributor. Do we have liquid paraffin, essentials, a Congo? and when should it be given to birds? Liquid paraffin is not important. The most important thing is to ensure that your birds are accessing feed and water properly. You have your temperatures are consistent. You have good ventilation, and the purpose for liquid paraffin will not be there. Actually, we don't encourage clients to use liquid paraffin. It has no documented medical use in chicken. Daniel, do you have something to add on use of liquid paraffin?
No, just remember liquid paraffin does not mix with water. So then
Yes,
for the
it does not.
supplementation for the chicks, it does not make any sense. So then if you can just avoid it, just avoid it. It doesn't have any benefit to the chicks.
Sure. Rukia, hello team. Thank you, Daniel, for good presentation. Thank you, Rukia, for that kind response. It was a nice one. So your question is, what is the cause of malabsorption and how can I control it? How can I treat? How can I treat in case my farm is affected? Dr. Geshane, please share your insight on helicopter.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Kia, for the question. Malabsorption syndrome is quite an issue that affects many farmers, and it will be brought about by some few factors. And majorly, one of the major issues is management in terms of, especially when we have poor biosecurity. So we're talking of the if you don't do a very bad clean down, basically you have build-up of pathogens within your farm, which again will affect or will have an effect on uh, uh, the digestive system of this bird, such that this bird will not adequately uh, be able to achieve their potential and utilizing the feed as it were. Get a lot of diarrhea, get a lot of digested. So one of the major factors is poor management in terms of biosecurity. Number two would be like breeding, poor management of housing. So it's quite a few factors that will be able to bring about this. So I would encourage Rukia to get in contact to one of the Unga or KENCHIC technical teams for this. Patrick, Daniel, we have tackled malabsorption a few times. Maybe tomorrow I'll share an article on this. There's a small article that we had compiled on this particular topic, and maybe in our next session for the next quarter, this is something we need to focus on. Thank you.
Thank you, Apollo. Innovative Farms, our lab is located in Nairobi, along industrial area, Enterprise Road, opposite Kobil petrol station. Suzanne, thank you. Thank you for your kind response. Great presentation, very informative. What is the best way to sanitize water? Daniel?
The basic option is the use of chlorine, whether it is water guard, whether it is a tablet, whether it is in a powder form. The best recommended is what we've learned today, the use of Celco pH. These are the use of the acidifiers.
Oh, Asante Daniel. Kisumu Poultry Farm, I have 2.7 months old pullets showing signs of sickness, very weak and thin with white diarrhea. Yet the birds have been vaccinated accordingly. Kindly contact a vet, have him visit your farm so that you can be able to do a tentative diagnosis once he assesses the situation at your farm. We do not, actually, even ethics do not promote prescriptions of this kind of sessions. So have a vet visit you so that you can be able to know what is affecting your birds. Thank you, Peter, for sharing your contact. Nixon, where can one get the feeding schedule for Kenbrew? Nixon, we'll share it through our WhatsApp platform. You can also share your contact, your WhatsApp contact. I can be able to share it to you tomorrow. You can also engage Daniel so that he can be able to share the new feeding program from Unga. Kevin, do you provide feed analysis for farmers who produce their own feeds? Daniel?
Yeah, as I started my presentation, I said we do offer technical and advisory services. For farmers who are using our Viminera range, we do check their levels routinely, free of charge. We don't charge. Again, even I've seen another question asking whether when we visit we charge. We don't charge. So both KENCHIC and Unga Farm Care, we don't charge when we come and visit you.
So that is one advantage of consuming products from the two companies, since you get a technical service free of charge. How can I get vaccination schedule for KENCHIC layers? Ngigi, please share your contact. I'll be able to share it to you tomorrow morning. Benjamin, layers. Kindly, what about layers, Benjamin? Kisumu Poultry Farm. Kindly have a vet visit your farm so that he can be able to diagnose your problem. Recommended disinfectant for a poultry house. Akongo, I'd like to know your location. I'll share my contact so that you can be able to recommend good disinfectants based on your location. We have KENCHIC poultry centers well distributed across the country. So kindly share your contact. I will be able to direct you to our nearest poultry center, where you can have a technical person to take you through farm disinfection. Nancy, I'll appreciate if Apollo shares information on helicopter wings. I have a chick behaving so. Is there a medication for helicopter wings? Kindly stay tuned on our WhatsApp platforms. We have an article describing the same. Yeah, I think, Daniel, we are done with the questions.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I'll be able to share our contacts in the chat function. So then just send us a WhatsApp message. We'll be able to respond to you. My contact is, you can see on the chat function. Patrick, you can just mention your number, 07?
0748 590 494. Again, 0748 590 494.
Thank you, farmers, for joining us this evening. We have taken more time than we had anticipated, but I hope it was a mind-opening session for all of us so that we're able to improve our poultry business. Other than for wishing you a good night, we wish you to stay safe, continue to observe the COVID-19 Ministry of Health guidelines, and we wish you all well. Have a good night all. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.